try and shift the paradigm. I was in the trenches trying to get close to the paradise. Worry about your own bag, I'm fully aware of mine. Certified and verified, I'm yachting on the ocean and my phone is using maritime. No filet mignon, but I stake money. Liquidity provided, I feel like I'm Poseidon. Loudest when you're losing, when you're winning, they be quiet. These are just the thoughts that I be thinking when I'm driving. Dreams of flying private, I've been high vibing. High school parties, why wasn't I invited? Now I got two biddies asking me when I'm arriving. E-Hex, P-Hex, money multiplying. Haters fabricate, but dog, the numbers isn't lying. I must have ate a Mario shroom, I'm feeling giant. Shoulda never gave me no rules, I feel defiant. I feel the...
What's up?
What's up?
Hey,
team?
what's up, Hexaco?
Ooh, party over here.
So I'm going to do something a little bit bold here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to DM Richard the link to this. Okay. Cause I noticed on Twitter, his DMs are open now. I don't know if they're supposed to be or what, but like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to say, join us at the top of the hour. And like, if he wants to, he can. I don't know. His probably his lawyers will advise against it. But if he doesn't join us, we'll get Sticker Guy instead at the top of the hour. Okay.
Nice.
So we did this last time. So, yeah. But yeah, like let's go around the room, and I'm not sure, like people can bring up their own topics or attach on to what the last person said. But yeah, like all of you are very strong speakers, and I'm really glad to have you on screen for the last hour here. Axis, what do you want to discuss here today?
Put me on the spot. I'm always good until you do that. Let's see.
Well, here, like
I got an idea. Who went out to a venue or an event or onboarded somebody new in the Hex in the past 365 days, or brought the attention to it to somebody new on this panel? You're looking at the all-star squad here, guys and girls. These are the people that actually believe, and we don't always agree with how everything plays out with the community or with the founder or whatever, but at the end of the day, I think we all really believe in the principles that have been said here, and we have bags, so we got to protect this house. You know what I'm saying? We got to usher in the bull market. Like, it's not just going to happen. Like, we got to get out there and show people the quality that's there in the Hex.
Yeah, I'd like to. I want to add on to that a little bit. That's a great comment. I've heard for as long as I've been in this community that green candles are the best marketing. Green candles, that's the best marketing. But I don't think that that's the steal in the value of anything. I think it's the consistency. It's the congruent. Basically, if you got involved with Hex because you liked the protocol, you liked its inflation model, you liked its decentralization, you like its open participation. If you like any of those things, then yes, the green candles can bring more eyes, and it can change the price very rapidly, obviously during bull markets and such. But like, why speak differently when the candle is red versus the candle is green? Your principles, what you stand on, why you're here, what you're doing. Like, you can do this for price, just like you can do it for any other meme coin, anything that may be second cycle, third cycle. Like, I really do like Sami's content about, like, first is like, is everyone's curious. There's the speculations of where's this going to go? How many people are going to know? How early am I? Those are all the things about a first cycle, anything. A gold rush of any sort. But like, why do you value the land, that is hundreds of years later still trading in a marketplace? Like, I'm in real estate a lot. So it wasn't a free claim. You weren't a frontiersman. You didn't build the roads, but you still bought a house in a neighborhood. Like, there's a reason you gave it a value more than just a price point. So yeah, that's a good point about, like, have you been onboarding, and what are your talking points when you are onboarding, if you are, right? Are you just saying, this is a bull market, let's buy this token, someone's going to pump my bags, pump yours too? Like, is that your narrative? And has that been consistent for over the past 5-6 years? You've been saying the same identical words over and over, that someone else is going to do the work, or are you doing the work? That's really a question.
Right, and I would say it's disingenuous if you're onboarding only green candles. In fact, red candles is where we're screaming the absolute loudest to our community, and we're screaming and going to real estate events, getting on stage, onboarding guys during the bottom of this bear market, during this cycle. Once we're up a 5x, 10x, that is the wrong time to be onboarding, in my opinion. I don't want to sit down at the family dinner table and tell my brother across the table, yeah, come on in now. We're up a 10x. Here's the green candle. He's going to look at it and FOMO in. And that's very disingenuous. You got to convince these folks when we're down in the bloody bottom of the market. That is the time to get these folks in and get them buying if you want to get them life-changing gains. Otherwise, you're just being disingenuous. And I see this in other communities all the time when there's a lot of green candles, people screaming on Twitter, oh, it's time to get in, and they're FOMOing people in. It's just the wrong time. I like right now. Now's the time to be going out and beating the drum, screaming at the top of our lungs about this community.
Yeah, I really appreciate that people are on this panel. Every single one, everyone that's on this panel, people that have been speaking over the past 4 days, people that decided to step up and be in the 5th annual Hex Conference. That's awesome. You know, the hundreds or maybe thousands of hours just in organizing these events that Maddie has put in, Sticker Guy, Rachel, all these different people that organize this stuff, all the DMs, all of the, you know, and I want to be candid about it, you know, the DMs that go unanswered and ignored, right? So these people that organize this event solicit for anybody to participate. And some decide that they're going to sponsor and they're going to support financially. Some decide that they're going to put their time or whatever it may be as far as like their brand. I appreciate every single person because if you're here and you've been here for this past event or in past events before this, 4th and 3rd and so forth and back in history, the product meant something to you. And there was a narrative behind why you did it. Like, why are you doing it, right? And I just, like, you know, I want to stay away from the drama points. I've been frustrated. I know many people have been frustrated with different players inside this community, different, even the founder in different ways. But at the end of the day, you either believe in the protocol and what it can do and how it's designed and for the purpose of a ticker that is not in the stock market. It's not, you know, in real estate or bonds or gold or other things that, you know, can change their value based on supply. You know, metrics, like I listened to Axe's points about like, you know, this is predictable future supply. That's not true in just about anything else. So all I'm getting at is I appreciate everyone that organizes and participates. And if you had a principled position in the past and you had an issue with an organizer or a founder or someone that's part of a different faction inside of this ecosystem, why would that change your participation in a conference like this? It shouldn't, right? This is a reason to be here because you care about the principles built into the protocol.
I would say on the onboarding, on the issue of onboarding, I prefer to do it from the DeFi angle, right? I want to tell people, okay, like you said, instead of the green and the red candle, like it's a meme coin, like, hey, this is harder than some of the tokens you could just buy on, you know, Robinhood or Venmo or Coinbase. And if you are willing to take the extra steps and the security steps to go beyond the centralized exchanges and go DeFi, then there's a perfect, basically certificate of deposit based token that you can get into. But at this point, I don't rush it. And I want to make sure that people know how to stake, know how to unstake, know how to not click any scams or anything. I want to make sure they know how to use MetaMask, make sure how, you know, what a hardware wallet is, make sure they can use the DeFi. And it is a little bit slower of an onboarding process, but if you're willing to put the time and effort into teaching people the DeFi, they seem to be more open to getting into Hex, because otherwise it's like, well, why is this good? And then somebody else tells them, well, you know, I heard this token's good, this ERC20 token's good. And it's like, don't look at the price as much as maybe look at the liquidity, by the way, which is, there's some interesting stuff happening there with Hex, but look at read a white paper and look at the function of something and hold it, right? I think people should hold a little bit longer, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't do their research, right? And Hex is just the perfect holding token, especially if you want to be DeFi, because it promotes self-custody, right? You stake it yourself. You don't stake it on a centralized exchange. Centralized exchanges don't even want to have, Hex on there. Hopefully they'll have Pulse, in my opinion, but Hex, that's a self-custody token. It's just DeFi to the core. So I try to onboard people in the, hey, there's something you don't know. If you don't know how farms work, if you don't know how decentralized exchanges work, here's another level if you're open to learning it, because you do have to pick people that are willing to know how to use it. And there are a lot of them. Look how many Hexicans there are. I don't think I'm failing in that see that bar that I want people to be able to reach. And it's been pretty good so far, right? Of the people that are at least open-minded enough to look into it and look beyond centralized exchanges. And market it as DeFi.
And I think that's the beauty of the marketing as well as the onboarding is the tech will never change. It's immutable, but our marketing and how we onboard is going to change because that type of technology is going to be in that realm, which is awesome. And so, the UI might look different for how we are experiencing the technology, but really the backbone of it all doesn't change. And that's a huge thing in itself. But then we can see how we want to market it. And also onboarding is different for every person, right? That, someone might be super into DeFi or someone like that I know might be super into tech. And so how you onboard and market to them is so powerful. And that's why I love this group of people specifically is we have all onboarded people in different ways and through different strategies. And I think that's one of the beauties of our community is we take what we're good at and that's how we market and use our skills.
I think that's very powerful that you said that, how you onboard is unique to every single person, because learning to speak the language of your audience is key. We onboard real estate investors. That's our main niche because we come from the real estate space. So we go to these events and we onboard them into our community and we onboard them into Hex. And we speak the language of passive income to them because real estate investors, that's what they care about. They give a shit about passive income and they care about making money in the long game. And Hex is a perfect tool for that. So we speak that language to them. And then once they're kind of like the carrot, they take the carrot. Then we start giving the ethos of DeFi and holding your own keys and self-sovereignty and all the stuff that we appreciate and love. But we have to get the carrot in front of them first, get them in, and then educate them. So that's kind of how we do it.
I find this whole overlapping theme around this is all around empowerment. And so, yes, feeling like people can really navigate the DeFi world. Personally, I love the no coiners to be like, hey, this is the way. And
Yes.
like, hey, you're going to get set up with your wallet and that's just the way. And if you tell them that's just the way, then they can really just be like, oh, okay, this is how we do things in this world. We take care of our stuff. And then I find one other thing that I really want to sprinkle in, like for our community in general, is around maximalism and diversification. And I found that for investors, especially no coiners who are coming in, I have heavily preached diversification, knowing that this is a really great tool. And we have a really great product that we can share with everyone and bring them in. But I've also found with newer investors, the best way to actually curb some of their emotions is to help balance out some of their risks so that they don't have to feel as emotional about waiting for price to blast off. And I know that our community is very passionate. And also just introducing in some more of these, like, yes, maximalism can be helpful to certain people, but also it's really helpful if we can have more voices that can be bridges in our community to welcome more people into our space as well.
Yeah, there's a bit of, it's interesting, anybody that's a parent or isn't a parent, actually just a responsible adult, I guess, would probably agree that feeding a child, the newborn into the world, only Halloween candy and ice cream exclusively is not that good of an idea. So like when people talk about their balance of their portfolio, it's kind of like their dietary decisions, I guess. And, DeFi isn't for everyone, but it may be a staple. It may be something that carries you through. It has some kind of like Corey was saying, some kind of inflation model or yield model or something along those lines, staking models, basically influencing your psychology, not just your bank account or something. And then, everyone can get a sugar high, everyone can get an adrenaline rush, a dopamine hit, that sort of thing on different things, including especially the casino, if you want to call it, of crypto. But I do appreciate what Whitney just said about like some level of diversity, because I like Halloween, I like Christmas. There's a lot of sweets then, Thanksgiving and things like that. Those are, and that analogy very similar. And then you go back to what basically carries you through for your lifetime.
Like we're going for sustainability, and I think even in the space, like for all of us to be able to take care of ourselves, and also to be able to feel nourishing to take other people in as well. This is the diversification or the balance. I really like that diet analogy in general, but we use it in all avenues of our life. So anyways, we're here for longevity. We all know this.
Yeah, I want to give another shout out to all of the educators. People are, if they put together a curriculum, if they put together any kind of program, if they say, hey, this is you're a client, you're a customer, I'm going to work for you to basically educate you. Shout out to people that actually do that really do that. I appreciate everyone in this community that does something along those lines. And, even in this conference, there's been 16 to 20 hours of great snippets, right? People can find, if they review this, if they want to forward it, maybe not forward the whole thing. There's going to be certain parts in your friend circle. If you're going to talk to anybody and try to refer out content, you take the time or ask someone inside the community to dice it up and splice it up. And I would say, give credit to that speaker. So if Corey said something, or Axis said something, or Maddie said something and organized this event, anybody that said something you feel might ring true with your own sphere of influence, snip it up and use it. And then be appreciative, because you didn't communicate those words. You didn't organize the event. You didn't put together that curriculum or that thought process. You may not have been through the trenches the way that a lot of the speakers on these panels have been. So appreciate that and give recognition to that. Doesn't mean that they're going to always speak everything that you love about your particular bag or your particular philosophy. It doesn't mean that. It just means that in that moment, they were speaking something that rang true to you and you thought would ring true to your sphere of influence. So that's something I really want to acknowledge in 2025 is, yeah, this may be a bull cycle. We'll see how Ethereum performs and if those liquidity bonds bring, basically the market up in general of altcoins, or if something else rises. If you look at the market cap listings, basically since crypto has existed, Litecoin was at the top, Ripple is at the top, all these other things in the history. Namecoin, a lot of people don't know that I think it was the second crypto that was public was Namecoin, and nobody hears from that anymore.
I had some Namecoin.
So all I'm getting at is, things rise and they fall, but, communities being consistent about, and speakers within those communities about what principles drive them. Why do they care about what they care about? I don't know the speaking points of Namecoin. I don't know the topic of Namecoin, but if that community was still around talking about it, it might be popular. It may be still listed in some ways. So just a narrative to keep in your mind.
Do you imagine shilling Namecoin on Twitter?
You can find something positive about anybody that's rocked a logo inside this community at any time in the past 7 years, 6 years, 7 years. You can find something positive that they've said about your bag or your way of thinking. You can find a lot of things that you don't agree with and you want to fight with and you want to combat with. Which one do you think serves your interests best, right? More speakers on your behalf or less? So just want to acknowledge that in 2025 more.
I've got a great little segue with that, Gary. Thank you for that. And something I noticed on this panel, speaking of positivity, is that many of us are the ones that do decide to focus on the positive and look at, the upside of things and focus on that. And I actually had this section of SciVive picked out to do if I needed it on my last talk when it was just me and Maddie hanging out. And if you all don't mind, I got like 2 to 3 paragraphs I want to read real quick. So this is Richard Hart, SciVive, led by Wild SJ. Look at that. Lens of Scivivalism. Focus on the positive. Don't focus on the negativity. What you look at affects how you feel. If you grew up around people who are negative, and what you learn is negative behaviors, then you have a higher likelihood of being negative with yourself. If you only focus on the negative aspects of the world, that will rub off on you to some degree, and you will feel it constantly and disperse it further. At any given moment, there's an infinite amount of good and bad things going on, and the feelings you will feel and your perception of the world will be what you focus on. A good shortcut to understanding this is by imagining yourself as a crystal, either a cool looking shard of crystal or a crystal figurine where your eyes would accept the light of what you looked at. If you turned and looked at a pretty light that was beautiful, say a white or a gold light, that's what you would radiate. That's what you would feel when other people look at you. They would see the light that you are focusing on. They would see the light that you are focusing on. If there was some other negative idea in the world with your focus on it, then that is what you would feel. And you wouldn't just feel it, you would also retransmit it, radiate it, and become that color. Therefore, what you become, therefore, you become what you focus on, and you become good at what you do. Sci-fi, Richard Hart. Let's get positive, friends. Let's go. 2025, all smiles.
There's all kinds of lenses to look through. I mean, camera, people that use actual photography with light, not digital. They deal with all the focal lengths and different types of filters and things like that are built into the lens itself. So that's true, very true about the image that you see is based on the lens you're looking through.
And we're 100% a product of our environment. And so it's up to us to choose the environment we want to live and thrive in, because we're ultimately the creator of our own destiny. And so I can always tell by somebody's net worth by the 5 closest people who hang around them. And it's because they're a product of their environment. It's the same here. And so like I have programmed Twitter now in a way where I don't see much of the toxicity. And so a lot of the guys who get toxic and fight, I've got them pretty much kind of muted. And you can have a section of Twitter where you can only see the people that you follow. And that's usually where I hang out at. In fact, Twitter now, the algorithm just shows me all this health stuff. So I'm learning like new, peptide stuff to take and supplements, because it's all the toxicity has been removed because I've programmed it that way. And we're just a product of our environment. And we want to make sure we surround ourselves with positive people because I have no intentions of being negative.
It's a down day in crypto when your Twitter feed completely changes overnight, and it's like all health stuff, or it's all gym stuff, or it's political stuff.
It's interesting. Just in the past month, I'm experimenting right now. So I was following close to 2,000 people. I'm following 3 now. So I know
I was a little bit offended. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I didn't make a declaration because I didn't want to use my data points, my A/B testing. But actually, so I don't know if everybody knows, but when you do Twitter and you add people and you're subscribed to people, whatever it is, they're the most recent. And that's the one that the algorithm assumes that you are most interested in engaging at that moment. And then if you engage because it's new, right? It's a new shiny thing, a new viewpoint or new content creator or whatever it is, it's going to see that and reinforce it, and you're going to see more of it. So what I'm getting at is, as I stripped out and went through and just unfollowed everybody, I found 1,000 people that I had wanted to follow their content, wanted to see their content, but in the 10, 15, 20 minutes, or even if you're like all day on Twitter, you'd never see it. You just never do. The algorithm constantly is feeding what's at the top, almost like the cream that rises to the top of anything or anything that floats on the surface. And then all of those other people you think that you're following and that you're getting their content, you are not. You're definitely not. So as I stripped down, I was like, oh yeah, that person. And I was like, man, they've been making a lot of content I'd never seen in years of content. And so I stripped down, and I think I only follow one guy that gives almost all of his life and his time to rescuing dogs and stuff. That's the only person I follow. And then the person that passed away that I can't unfollow, I don't want to unfollow. And Somi, that's the only person from this community. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't value everyone, because before I did that, I built lists. And I don't know if you know this, but Richard made comments before basically removing everyone and unfollowing everyone. He made comments in different streams about building out lists on Twitter, and he would categorize and say, okay, well, does this person sing a different note? Are they pretty much the same note all the time? Or can they be kind of like put into a pigeonhole? Can they be identified? Are they one thought process? And I think he built lists that were based on those categories. So there's different groups that basically are only going to talk one thing or one style. And I have listed out everybody in this community that I was following before. I still have lists. And if I decide in my day-to-day, hey, I'm curious about like the kind of content that Access and Crispy go through, kind of the data point stuff, then I want to see that, right? I want to engage that. But if it's just basically, volleyball game between like who gets the most likes in the moment, and it does, that kind of stuff, then I have a different category, a different list for it. I'm not saying that everybody should do it. I'm just experimenting. And it's been really helpful for my own psychology. Like I was very, very frustrated a year ago or so with this whole community, with not the product. I love the product, but there's certain things that were like tearing me psychologically apart from like participating. And that's helped me a lot. And I wonder, Richard has different designs in my mind about like why he does things. Some may be game theory, so that everybody gets frustrated and upset that they're no longer followed by Richard, because there's so much identity politics inside this community or any community about who's following who. And one way to do that, to solve that, was to not following anyone. In part maybe legal and all these other kinds of things too. But I really truly feel that building out lists helped me and may have helped him to deal with some of the stresses of not just community management, but protocol focus.
You always wonder with the X, right? Because there are two different ways to handle being, I guess, a hexagon. This is the Hex Conference. You follow a lot of people in the community. You want to see how they're doing, right? You want to see, you're going to get fighting. You're going to get fighting and, people watching certain wallets, certain bots, whatever. But there's also, if it's too much, there's also a whole other world to advertise to. If you're sick of hexagons, like I did something stupid. I don't even know if anyone onboarded it, but I'm like, I'm just going to make a bunch of ads for all these fast food or these places like Denny's and stuff, and like buy Hex. And
I remember that. Those were brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know if anyone, but it's just like, okay, if you're sick of people and the infighting, people are being disrespectful and stuff, why don't you go to Cinnabon and be like, hey, just troll, kind of like the Jerky Boys, but also marketing. But you don't just put, or you could if you want, but just put pulse chain everywhere and no one clicks it. I mean, really engage like with stuff that maybe it's a little too off topic, but I don't know, UFC fighters, like somehow tie it into what they're talking about, or joke around with someone, have some bants, and then just tag pulse chain on the bottom or Hex, and maybe they'll look at it, just make it more visible if people are just absolutely getting too, and I'm not talking about any specific situation, but I've heard a lot of people when they're on X, they just can't stand it, or people are fighting and they're upset and there's negativity. It's like, well, then just go hassle the Denny's page, like mess with Wendy's, like get out of it, go to Nerf Ball and be like, hey, do you use hexagonal balls? Like just something stupid, and just have other people be able to look at, the content and make them laugh, right? Because we're here for, if you're 5555, which I hope so, some of you are, do whatever you want. But I mean, we're here for 15.2 years. Like, then you could be a little bit of a goofball. You can spread it around to, like Elon Musk probably isn't going to have any Hex, but it doesn't mean you can't chill it to him. It's kind of funny, right? Like, just see what happens. Throw the dice when it comes to marketing, and sometimes just have fun with it. Don't have an expectation. If you don't have an expectation of profit from others, you can also not have an expectation of just messing around with it and having fun with the community, right? And I don't know, if you see a lot of negativity, I feel like you could also make it positive by just being dumb and doing whatever you want. But I mean, being a good representative of what you believe in, of Richard Hart products. But there's a lot you could do on social media and otherwise.
It's very interesting also about this phrase. The first time I heard it was actually directly was from Richard, and it was you don't. I don't like what you like. I think that was the phrase. Was I don't like what you like, and so you can spend your days. I don't like what you like you said, trolling Denny's or ice cream shops and things like that. Like everyone should eat a healthy diet.
Yeah, it's not the best onboarding.
And setting up a picket line outside of Vegas and saying you like casinos and I don't, whatever it is. So you could choose anything in this world. There's 8 billion people to pick a fight with, and different businesses, millions and millions or billions of businesses. So like, I don't like what you like. I don't think is a very satisfying life to live. Spending your time doing that. I do believe that offering competition is useful. And, there were a lot of different things, as I commented, that early days of Bitcoin wanted to offer competition to Bitcoin, Namecoin, we just talked about, or other things after that. And they had their own narratives and they had protocols and they built their own communities and they did their own marketing to compete and, maybe deliver a better product, or at least make that endeavor in some of their pitches that they would do that. And, offering competition breaks monopolies. And when you do that, you offer better product or service to the public wins. The public wins, right? Older people may remember that there was only AT&T and you could not get a phone without having service with AT&T. And you had to actually rent the telephone to have in your house. You paid a fee to have their device in your house. And that's a monopoly, and that was broken up back in the day and such, so that there was fair market competition or reasonable competition in the marketplace. And I think that offering competition, and that doesn't mean Twitter battles. That means I respect the people that are making the Hex postcards. That's one way to get word out about competing for mind share and advertising and getting the social validation for doing that. Hardly anybody is going to complain that holds a bag of anything in this ecosystem that the postcard guys are doing that. All right. If they're not financially being supported, you're not throwing your money into their hat, then, what are you going to complain that someone else learns about your product or your bag? And it's just like outcompete someone is one thing. Now, I had a Twitter space, Hexologist, at the end of Hexologist Twitter space a few days ago. And at the end of that 2-hour space, I think the last 20 minutes or something, I was in that space. And what I want to highlight is that Richard, in my opinion, and it may not be shared by many people, threaded the needle through this. It's a miracle that any of this stuff works, which is paraphrasing what he's said in the past. It's a miracle that any of this stuff works, right? It's a miracle that your government that you live under in jurisdiction permits you to engage with the website and basically share math and code, right? So like, it's a miracle that any of this stuff works is my point. And he has threaded the needle on multiple products. And that's great. But like, a landmine in code or in design or community could have disrupted it completely. And there's appreciation for when founders do something that's awesome and amazing. And there's, penalty, if you want to call it, social penalty or whatever, for when they don't. Same with communities. So like, I want to appreciate more the doers and the builders versus the people that just want to look good by rage baiting,
The solid Luddite supplies of marketing are pretty amazing, right? Like whether it's, flyers, mail. Richard used to talk a lot about things that are mailed, just little things to hand out, like paper, things off of stickers, right? You got sticker guy making stuff that's off of Twitter, stuff that's off of things. Funny thing is, it's kind of hard to get the gradient on the Hex logo right, because there's not really a CMYK equivalent. Any of you guys tried to print out that logo and there's a little bit of a little hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be kind of nice to have a CMYK standard for both the Hex and the Pulse logo, because printing those out can be a little bit. You have to go and readjust.
I think I don't know if it's still there, but there was a
anyway.
room that was called Hex Design. Hex Design.
Yeah.
And I think the
great.
files were in there if you do actually do a search, because I remember Richard was so specific when the logo was being, the community basically came up with the logo. Like Shill Gates recently was posting like his version that Richard had acknowledged on Twitter, but there was this whole Telegram, which was everyone, that was back in the day coming up with all kinds of design ideas, and some of them were very interesting and some were very salacious. Anyways, but yeah, so I think that those files are in that Telegram if you look for them.
Oh, cool. Really? Yeah. The CMYK or whatever. It'd be cool if it was on the website, just because there's the RGB when there's the big like press kit. There's also on if anyone wants to make, supplies. I mean, a lot of like Pulse. I know this is the Hex conference, but the little press kits and the logos and everything are there, and most of them are RGB. So, I mean, I guess this is the first time I'm bringing it up on a conference, but yeah, I mean, technically you could go print your own stickers even with the RGB. It looks fine, really. You know what I mean? And
the first
that's
sticker
the thing
ever
about DeFi. Yeah.
So,
No one's marketing for you. You got to do it.
Right. Since there's such a push around onboarding here, even one thing I found just in the world, a pattern that people this year, the past few years, have really just craved is a level of intimacy, like just people getting to chat with someone in a one-to-one environment, or even in a small group, and having like a person, especially with crypto being so digital. And so I even a few hours back earlier on this call in the conference, I saw Briz was in the chat. There was a few of us. We were all just going around chatting about like the different in-person experiences that we've hosted. And I know many of you in this room, we've all hosted different things in that sense too. But one really great trust fabric, and one thing that can like reduce the trust time to get people into the space too, is having that like physical in-person thing. So whether you want to go out and speak about it, I know it can feel a little bit more of an edge to some people to be like, hey, this is what it is. But at the end of the day, like, we just get to lead with curiosity to be like, this is something that has really changed my life. And it's also added excitement to my future, and it's aligned to my values. Hey, I'm welcome to talk about questions and answer things and see if this is a fit for you. And just being that like open soundboard for people too. So just realizing that like people do crave that one-to-one experience too, and that touch point.
That's a good point about like marketing, the free and public content that's on YouTube, and people getting upset and frustrated and saying, oh, this thing, they went to a conference, or there's a one-on-one engagement, like a client kind of engagement kind of thing. I've been doing that for a long time. You guys have been doing that. Many have been doing that for a long time. Consultations and all this other kind of stuff. That's all fine. And you are offering the marketplace competition, right? Because saying go to YouTube, follow Twitter, follow these handles doesn't give that every client. It depends on the sophistication or interest or curiosity or time space. Even Richard I remember he had made a tweet it was back in the day when he was with Kim.com and so forth. And I think Elon was frequently like, in the Twitter spaces, in different Twitter spaces. And he had said in follow-up, maybe in that space even, I can give you direct high frequency or, high compression, like data feed on crypto. Like I can educate you on crypto. So he was offering one-on-one consultations, special case, of course, but like, there's a reason, right? There's certain people that would say, I'm not going to sit through, hundreds of hours worth of stuff to digest from diverse personalities and content creation. I need the details right now. And there's a trust factor that goes on that one-on-one relationship on a video conference or in person, or, all the stuff that Maddie's been doing and others have been doing. Like I see Whitney at ETH events and conventions. Maddie obviously has gone to many of them and so forth. Bobby Lieb coming on. These are all because of direct interactions with people. So a lot of people actually, especially well-off or time-scarce people, do not have time to participate in a lot of things. And one-on-one is more direct value for them.
I had a recent experience with being in person with people. I was able to do a continuing education class through the school district that I live in. And it was awesome because, you know, the cryptocurrency class that I taught, it was advertised to the entire county that I live in. And so, you know, this magazine for these different classes was anywhere from like crocheting to cooking to how to garden or how to do karate. It was like all the things, right? And so I was able to teach this class, and it was cool that it wasn't something that I was just putting on. It was within the framework of a really well-oiled machine of there were already all of these classes that were being taught through this particular like school district. And so I just got to add my cryptocurrency 101 class to it, and I taught that for several weeks and got to have those, you know, personal experiences with all these different people. I still get calls from my students still today, which is awesome. But it was really cool to be able to take a framework that was already set up that people trusted, and it was really easy to get students to come into that and to be taught through that because they wanted to take a class. And you know, seeing crypto 101 was a super interesting thing for a lot of people. So if I can encourage anyone, look and see what's around you as well, because you don't even know, like there could be some sort of continuing education class that you could teach. And it was a really good experience for me.
Using a platform that's already been, you know, utilized by multiple different industries or niches to get your word out. I mean, we're advocates of guerrilla FaceTime marketing, Facebook marketing. We Facebook marketing, we Instagram marketing, we pay for the marketing to help bring eyeballs to our content, and then bring the, you know, like entrepreneurs, real estate investors into our ecosystem. And then, you know, we educate them from there. But it's, you know, I don't recommend that for everybody. But if you're running like for the guys who are doing like paid groups, or the guys who are doing the education side of things, and you're catering to a specific audience, paid marketing through social media has gotten us the highest ROI. So, and it's also onboarded just a crap ton of new Hexicans and Pulsicans that bring in a lot of money. We have almost 300 members in our community now, and they're all entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and they bring in, you know, pretty good, decent chunks of cash. So it's worked really well.
Shout out to Somi for being an AI. He's pretty
right. I thought he was AI for the first year. Oh my God, I still love this content as AI.
Tommy, you made your first video appearance this year on St. Wolf Stream twice, actually. So
yeah, I got to hop on with them for a few minutes.
Welcome to the party, brother. Actually, there's a spot here that Richard isn't filling right now, in case you're bored.
Yeah, the bucket list, man. Come on.
Where's Sticker Guy, Maddie? You promised us.
Top of the hour. Yeah, either Richard or Sticker Guy can come on. We have space for one of them.
Very cool. Yeah, the Somi thing. And again, we have all these little like mile markers of history if you've been here for any amount of time. And yeah, the AI is Somi does so much. It has to be AI. There's got to be a team feeding him before he ever had a face reveal or camera reveal, and that whole battle and conspiracy thoughts. And then he's coming on screen with his hat that has dongles or whatever, dingleberries. That was funny. Yeah. So there's, again, he's been consistently, again, he may not be right. I'm not saying he's right. His data points are right. But I'm saying he's been consistently, and he's been upbeat in personality and engaging. There's a reason he has, 4,500 or something videos, and he's a machine, man. I actually think he may be Cybertronic. I do not know that he's actually human. Maybe AI is part of his integration. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, Sami and Randy Hilarski were the two influencers that kept my resolve all through the SEC FUD. After that, whole thing came out, and when we saw that massive red candle, like those two influencers is what kept my resolve and kept me grounded. I watched them every day religiously.
Yeah. Randy's interesting. I remember when he was. I remember when he was throwing in the towel, angry at everybody that was in Discord Syndicate. Fuck all these people. He was very upset. And, he's been one of the most consistent as far as like support for the community.
And he's got a lot of positivity about him.
Yeah. took a while to bring him around. You know. So
Hey, that was a treacherous time to be involved, eh? There he is.
Hello, fam.
Oh, no way.
Hello,
The
fam.
AI is real.
Bucket list check mark.
That's awesome. There's been 2 times on St. Wolf's stream that I've missed Somi being there. Like I engaged right afterward, so it was pretty cool.
Somi
What about
stole the
Take It,
center
Somi?
spot, Gary. What are you going to do about that?
Worth it. It's worth it, man. It's a moment
It's the
in history.
Brady Bunch.
As long as he's not streaming from a Toyota, then I'll pay.
You can all hear me. Do you want me to do a slot? I don't know what to do, Maddie. I've never done any of these shows. I'm always in the trenches with everybody. I'm always like working hard. I don't like doing the interviews. If you watch my channel, I always think about interviews and conferences are like you don't interview Messi 15 minutes in a game. Hey, how do you think it's going to go? So we can discuss a lot of things if everyone's curious. Do we have enough time? I've got a lot of stuff coming out as well.
Let's go, man.
Let's do it.
Wow, yeah, awesome. Yeah. Let's be topical. So like I've noticed, right? I'm seeing some feedback on Twitter. There's always controversy, friends. And even when I first came into crypto, you don't get it because the news is so intense. Yeah, the news is so intense. So you can't really judge everything based off what you see out there. And what I've noticed is the news is always so curated to make you really nervous every single time. And I actually watched many people, stock market, investing world, and it was funny. It didn't matter how rich the person was. They said, yep, every time it looked like it was over, I was really, really scared. They thought they were going to lose their family. Their funds were going to go down. Ray Dalio's got stories. Every single person's got stories of these times. And you read them and you're like, it's okay. That's old people times. That was 40 years ago. We're fine. And now here the crypto industry comes and like you just get kicked over and over again. But it's actually the same thing as well. You know, one of my videos as well, I've got coming out as well. I want everyone to know. If you go back, I want to use a perfect example here. If you go back to Bitcoin in 2014, Mt. Gox, right? Mt. Gox goes under. If you're looking at it, see, we look at it, we're like, it's buying opportunity, duh. And Bitcoin was like, $500, crashes down to $180. But you got to understand the severity of this situation. Back then, no one understood these frameworks. We didn't understand what a store of value properly was. And no one knew what a use case for a currency was. No one knew it. Only like a few freaks. Richard was in. Trace Meyer was in, Andreas Antonopoulos, Da Vinci J15. Okay, yeah, 4 dudes. But literally, there's 4 billion people out there that have no idea what the hell's going on. So you got to understand, imagine you're holding this imaginary Ponzi currency. Maybe you've made like 10 times your money. You have no idea the industries are going to be born. And then Silk Road happens. Like, they arrest the guy. And remember, back then, Bitcoin, remember, friends, what's store of value? Let's think about store of value, okay? Store of value is buy this thing and then do nothing. You understand how stupid that sounds? So if you're talking to the average person and they go, store of value, buy this thing and do nothing. I mean, that's why when Richard Hart, he made Hex. Maybe you guys are familiar with it, okay? He's literally, the biggest FUD of Hex was the low volume and the low trading. And he kept saying, dude, do you understand how the game works? You're not meant to trade it. It's like a house. Your velocity is like 2 payments, a buy and a sell every 30 years, right? So all these concepts, you start to understand what's happening. However, no one really understood it right back then. So when it comes to Bitcoin, you had Silk Road, the government raids Silk Road. And you got to think about this, how extreme it was. We had no use case. It was literally being used to buy drugs. It was literally people ordering drugs online and people thought, this is currency of the internet. I have a use case. This is very high value, okay? So that's what they were thinking, right? And what ends up happening is, so after the raid happens, and even Mt. Gox going down, these 2 separate events, what are people going to do at that point? Okay, you have no idea because you're thinking, wait a minute, the only use case that we had is now gone. It's all over. And you've just been raided, right? So it's been raided and you're like, okay, what do I do with this Ponzi currency now? It's literally game over. So everyone's scratching their heads and you don't blame people for dumping. They just sell and they leave. They have no idea what's going on, right? And then you have like, you have people literally look like full-on freaks and coming out. Like Andreas Antonopoulos, he just comes out, is giving presentations, literally like 3 dudes. One of them's always got the Jesus hair, and there's some other guy with like a laptop. He's not even paying attention. There's always some guy there at the conferences. They're literally on a laptop, not even listening to the guy. And he's saying, oh yeah, this thing's going to change the world. It's free currency. It looks so obvious right now, but only because the price went up.
Max Kaiser back then too, right? Max Kaiser was it?
Yeah, as well. Yeah, Max. Yeah, as well. So of course, Max Kaiser's a big one, right? He was like the first guy. Went on TV, man. If you understand, he was on TV saying this stuff. Is a very, very good point as well. So we're having a moment like that now, but I don't like to dwell on it because it sounds like cope, but that's actually the truth. Okay, government comes in. You're seeing like arrest, MP5s, assault rifles. That's the images in your head, but it's not. It really isn't that at all. It's literally they've got a lot of debt. They're trying to get money. They're trying to look like they have to just they've got to pay the money somewhere, friends. Like they don't want to print the currency. Okay, they don't want to print the currency. If you were a government agent and you're like, okay, if you print the currency, things get really, really bad. Let's try grab taxes from everyone else out here. So we're probably seeing a byproduct of these out here, you know, but even if you're looking at that original Bitcoin case, when I go back, you look at the chart, you look at it, you don't feel what they felt. You just see like, oh, buying opportunity. You don't know. Like imagine you had $1,000. It's $20,000 now. Like that was huge money back then. Internet Ponzi money. And imagine someone sitting there tapping you on the shoulder going, hey, you're going to laugh at this in 5 years. This is the biggest buying opportunity of all time. You literally think you're getting scammed, man. You don't understand what a use case of a currency is. You don't know how much of it works. Now we can look back with the benefit of hindsight. Now we know about growth rates, Metcalfe's law, currencies. We also have Amazon, Facebook, Google. So one of the things I've also done, I've made videos showing you, friends, kind of like the biggest thing no one ever talks about in the world, which they should, is why is gold losing market share to like internet stuff? Right? That shouldn't make any sense. And the answer is they're all network effects. Gold is an analog network from the past. It survived thousands and thousands of years. But over time, people slowly but surely trust other networks on the internet. Facebook, Amazon, Google, Tesla, all of them. You know, we always have fun with them. And now crypto. So slowly, we're migrating into the digital realm. And that's exactly where crypto comes in. So we're looking at all these. I know it's kind of funny. People think about stores of value and layer one chains. You throw all these sectors and stuff out here. But really, it's about this trust thing. And you all know by now, right? The community is really the asset. It has nothing to do with cash flow, okay? How much cash flow does gold produce? Nothing? Okay, why does it grow at 8% per year for literally the past 100 years plus? So it's because obviously the money printer, all right? So, but this is actually where it gets more wild. How come internet Ponzi stocks, which don't have any bricks and mortar or anything, why are they growing faster than gold? That shouldn't happen, okay? But it really does happen. It's because the world is becoming more globalized, more digital. And crypto is literally, that's all crypto is. Crypto is, we're all a digital nation. Okay, that's what we are. So that's why, I mean, Corey, he's big in real estate. I've noticed real estate guys, they always get crypto really fast, straight away. They go, oh yeah, it's property I own. It's just kind of like on the internet, right? They always get it fast. But the stock market guys, they never get it. The stock market guys, they're like, where's the cash flow? I don't understand. But when you're looking at somebody who's in real estate, they're looking at crypto and they're like, oh yeah, it's like my patch of grass here. I could make it into a house, or I could put a food truck on here and collect rent. I could do it, but I'm not. Anyway, and they go on with their life. Another example, right? So why is a patch of grass in the middle of Africa, why is that worth like, you know, $10,000, whereas that patch of grass in New York City is worth maybe $10 million? Why is that? It's because the people around the network, it's the same patch of grass. So that's the same analogy we always use in crypto. So when people say, hey, how come Hex is a certain valuation here, but it just like, because people always try to fudge you. They go, well, it just hands out yield, or it's been done before. You say, okay, man, where's your tattoo? You understand? You don't. Where's the tattoo of this new thing out here? Where's your 250,000 people? There's 170 content creators, 70 streamers. We got 2 conferences, like you're watching one right now. Where is all of that? That's what the real proof of work is, friends. So, you know, because everyone out here, proof of work. Well, the real proof of work is, how do you get humans, which is us, okay, not AI, humans, how do we get these branding and this marketing infused in our heads so much that we think about it all the time? I mean, like, one common example is, for a lot of people, I know they may be coming for the new coins, you know, Pulse Chain and PulseX and Ink, maybe some controversial PRC20s as well. But Richard, for Hex, he deviated away from like this stock standard type of approach for crypto. When he made the Hex staking, okay, he gives you a penalty if you don't claim your Hex after 2 weeks, right? End the stake. And it's so controversial. It looks like some sort of like gimmicky game thing, but he understood it from day one. I remember one of his streams, okay, because I came in late, but I'm pretty much I'm not day one OG. When I'm listening and understanding his streams, he goes, I don't want someone to wake up in 10 years and see they have a lot of money and they didn't work for it. Okay, and I thought about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. But that's what he wants. He doesn't want people to free ride off the mind share to basically wake up and just dump the price in the future, which is kind of interesting to think about. Even he understood the benefits of making people basically make sure that when they've got a stake coming out, they're thinking about it. So all you have to, it's literally, it's not forcing you to do anything. It's just forcing you almost like to just think about this at the back of your mind. And that's keeping mind share alive. It's kind of like your baseline of attention, which is pretty much what we're all trading out here in crypto, you know? So we're going to all these, you go through all these like network effects. And I always talk about Metcalfe's law and Reed's law. The city keeps building. But I understand, friends, as well. Like no one thought with all this technology, we're still slaves to this Bitcoin cycle. Okay. So if you're sitting at home, like, yeah, we never knew this was going to happen, man. Bitcoin adds no technology and you're onboarding a lot of people. You just would have thought maybe the cycle would have changed by then. But actually, it hasn't, friends. It hasn't changed at all. However, maybe one day it will. Maybe things happen in the future. The market's starting to learn stuff. Okay. We're getting a lot of people new coming into crypto. Things will change. Institutions come. They call it maybe a modulation of the cycle. A lot of things can appear in the future, you know, but everyone here is definitely optimistic for Pulse Chain. And don't be concerned about these other stuff out here, because people will try to trick you. No, they trick themselves. They think, well, they might have the newest bleeding edge technology. Okay. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. Like, oh yeah, I can make you a phone that is holographic, costs you $60,000. You know, it's not economical. Who cares about that? Okay. However, all you're thinking about is like a Big Mac burger. Think about the technology of a Big Mac burger just because you know about it. Okay. So these principles, I know I'm summarizing a lot, but yeah, that's why I basically want to just tell everybody that everyone is still here. There's marketing things, a lot of things, friends, like a lot of the FUD. I know I'm looking at this FUD and I'm like, it's gone too far now. People are fighting back now. We're fighting back. But there's a sea change that'll appear, almost probably shock us in the next 12 months, where we'll probably say, hey, 15,000 bad things happen in a row, and now the good stuff is starting to happen. But it only happens if people are present. That's exactly what you're watching. Like, you know, still today, I just want to let you know, other coins, they have conferences, but they get paid for with tokens from the teams. Okay, I'm not even going to name them, but like, we have this for free, man. It's literally for free. It's literally just Donald Trump 2016 grassroots. Okay, he's not paying all the media and he's doing all these. So it has been done before and it's very effective. You want to know why? Because when you pay someone, they start to like think about it in terms of units. Like, oh, you've paid me $1,000. I'm working at $200 a day. That's it. I'm only working for 5 days. And after that day, I'm done. Okay. But when you try to onboard someone, the power of friendship, basically, this is everybody who's like a believer. If there's no money on the line directly, they almost work infinitely because they're very, very passionate. That's actually what we're doing right now. So that's why these things are more effective. I mean, if you guys are familiar as well, Morad had a meme coin super cycle thesis. He obviously subscribes, watches my channel. So that's one of the most effective things at all. So when people are paid, as soon as the next cycle thing appears, as soon as like we move on to something else, they're taking a payment from another person. Oh, you paid me $5,000. That guy paid me $20,000. Hey, guess what? I don't like Chinese meme coins anymore. I actually like South American meme coins. You know what I mean? That's pretty much how it moves. It's very, very crude like that. But when you have Hex and Pulse Chain and this community and it's done grassroots, it's a totally different playing field. It's literally Bitcoin. It's people who believe in something. Okay, so that's what it is. And that's obviously people come and they look at you. They look at, they see, friends, I'm not joking. They see a bunch of people. We look like sometimes, because the price is down, they think you're a bunch of people in a trailer park just hitting each other with a stick. But that's why I always tell you, dude, if I just make the price go up 10x, we don't look like trailer park people anymore. You think we have suits and we're shiny and there's Porsches and stuff out here. That's exactly what it looks like. So all I changed was this price. even if you weren't intending to sell. This is actually the most amazing part, you know? Last thing, friends, Crypto Kobe, in one of his up-only interviews in 2021, he talked about becoming a billionaire and getting really, really rich. And he said when he became a billionaire, he realized most of life was a scam because his parents had been working their whole lives. And he says when he just showed them how much money he had, like they were no longer stressed. And he's like, oh, I didn't even have to give you money. I just had to give you the impression that you had made it. So that's what I think about every day. I think about what would our Hex conference, what would they sound like? What would they feel like if the price was just up 20x, but no one clicked sell? Because you think, oh, we've made it. But really, have you made it? Just the price went up, but the work hadn't been done. Like, what does it even matter at that point? That's why I always joke we are digital monkeys, and everyone's dealing with themselves. Dopamine goes in, dopamine goes out. You know, some people, unfortunately, when the dopamine goes out, they say, you know what? It's all over. It's all a scam. And then the rest of us, we understand that, you know, this is part of the game, friends. This is part of the game. I know we didn't sign up for this level intensity, but I mean, like, think about early Bitcoin as well. You know, someone's buying Bitcoin and then the government's raiding them and people are saying, you're going to get arrested, man. You know, friends, you know, the early Bitcoin meetups, they had code words to get in, literally code words. I laughed when I seen it. Just a bunch of nerds. They had code words. Why? Because they thought what they were doing was going to get tracked by the government agencies back in like 2010 or 11, you know, and you look at it, you're like laughing. Why are you laughing? Why? Because the price is 10 cents. You know what I mean? Because, that worked out for you. Okay, maybe we're on this now. Maybe we're literally on this now. Maybe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I get interviewed somewhere and I say, you know what? We were all thinking, should we do this conference? We might end up in jail one day together. You know, and everyone will be laughing. Why? Because crypto grew. It didn't have 500 million people in crypto anymore. Maybe it has like 2 billion in the future. And like, oh, what were you worried about? Now you're rich. And then you're like, you remember these days, man. You remember these days where you like literally felt it was over. But that's because the price is cheap. The price is discounted up. That's all I want to say, friends. If you want to start a discussion or make any questions up, please let me know.
Hey, I was going to ask you, Sami, what is it that keeps you going so many hours every day? Like, what's your secret?
Question, sir. And I don't know. I honestly don't know. Yeah. You know how many times I make one video? Do you know how many times I've said just one more video? Just one more video. Yeah, it was funny. I was watching Squid Games. There's an episode. It's titled One More Game. And I watched it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's weird. That's what I said. One more video, friends. I'll make a video. I'll go get these little salt and vinegar beans, these little like peanuts, and I'll watch other info. I'll watch you guys. I watch Malian. I watch the Game Theory Gang. I watch Corey. I watch Crypto 7. I watch everybody. And that's me relaxing. And then after 7 minutes, I'm like, you know what? You gave me an idea. I'm listening to Corey. Corey says one word. I'm like, you know what? I've got an idea. I'm going to go check something. And then I'll go, I don't know why. I don't know where it's coming from. Yes, it is amazing, but it won't last forever, friends. It doesn't last forever. This is because we know where we are in this cycle. We know there's opportunities here. Like I've been in markets where there's a lot of edge at the start. And trust me, friends, it only goes down. Okay, your growth rate only goes down. It does not get bigger. It only goes down. Why? Over time, more people see it's safe, you know? So maybe we make the first 5x, you know? And people are like, wait a minute. You've been in that Hex thing for years now. You have 5 times your money. More of those people come in. But what you find is maybe 10 of them join. Maybe 7 aren't really committed, but 3 stay. And what you'll find is as each cycle progresses, out of those 10 people joining, it'll become, instead of 3 staying, it becomes 5 and then 7 and then 9. And then what we'll have is we won't have these amazing explosive growth and big community. It'll just be everyone on there. It'll be like, okay, when you go to Facebook, everyone's already on there. Okay. Are you excited by anybody new joining Facebook? I remember when Facebook first came out. Facebook, friends, just to let you know, because it's a network. You can look, Facebook, crypto, we're all networks, right? When Facebook first out, college kids were going on it. It was like the de facto early Tinder. Guys were going on there in America to go meet up with girls across states. Like, hey, do you do surfing? That's what it started off like. So guys were on there like, whoa, what if girls from this other state that I want to go fly to, what if they are on Facebook? It was kind of funny. It had nothing to do with money. You know?
MySpace and Facebook was West Coast versus East Coast for a while. I don't know if you guys kind of remember that, if you're a part of that. So a lot of the East Coast college kids or whatever would be Facebook, and MySpace were the West Coast musicians. And so there was a a little bit of a standoff. There was Friendster back then too, but I remember, it was kind of like people use LinkedIn as a dating site now. It's absolutely crazy. Like, hey,
I was a
Yeah.
MySpace maxi.
Nothing to do with money.
Facebook late.
Nothing to do with money. All of this, guys trying to meet girls out here dating. So that's why crypto, like this financial incentive part, the world hasn't priced it in yet. Now we're almost like we're ruining the game. It's kind of like once we now have tokens and attention and communities, friends, I'm turning it out. It's literally changing the game because we're all part of a community out here and we live on the internet and it's cross border. How does that change every business out there who's not part of the community? You're like outside of the club now. We don't care about you. Like I'm flipping out, friends. Like, you know, we all saw Takashi69 DMing me. I'm like, bro, like you're the one who got famous. And because I'm noticing, you know, more music people, friends, more people from music and culture, Iggy Azalea, they're coming into crypto because they know they can see this trend. They're like, why are these people going crazy? They used to go crazy for me and my art and my music. Now they're going crazy in this weird cyber digital world that they don't understand and grasp it. So the money part, it's important, but it's not everything. You get to see. That's why community is the asset. That's why actually, you know what's funny part? One of the biggest revelations I've ever figured out was, you know when we're in a bear market and you're just arguing with someone on Twitter, but you're still holding the coin, you're actually holding the line. You're actually providing the base floor because you're using the coin value to talk someone. So to talk to somebody. That was like, I couldn't believe it. So these two people arguing in a bear market, price is down, they're trying to blame each other, and then just maybe they're being nasty to each other on the internet. The fact that they're holding the coins, now there's a use case. A coin, like for example, let's say they're in Hex. They're arguing about, oh, Richard launched too early or too late, or I didn't sign up for this. So yeah, they're holding the line. And they would never think about it. So they're getting something else besides financial incentives from the coin. Okay, and by the way, this is not even controversial, right? Look at people in Bitcoin. Go look at a Bitcoin maxi. They think like, you know what? They believe they're on like this crusade. Now the world's virus of fiat is like, it's slowly like fading away. They really have like this grand vision. Like when we think about it, I'm like, bro, you're holding like an internet Ponzi coin on your wallet. Like, what do you? It's kind of funny when you think about it, but it doesn't matter what we think. It's kind of like Coca-Cola. Like you are drinking 40 grams of sugar, literally in this little tin. But when you drink it, you're like, I'm gonna feel thirsty and refreshed, and I'm programmed to do it. And there's many things we do. What about like a Ferrari car? You're driving a piece of metal, steel on a tar road. You know what I mean? When you break it all down, everything sounds stupid, which means person who did the messaging behind it is obviously very powerful. That's why when we're looking at this Hex conference, you're seeing everybody still come out and support, and you see everybody survive this FUD. You know it's something bigger. You know there's something else bigger. You don't have the right answer, but you can see these bubbling undertones, and that's how you compare, say, us to someone else. Remember, I told you always the biggest sin of crypto. It's not bad news or anything. It's to abandon. Okay, so the biggest sin of crypto would be no more conferences. Or I'm walking away, I'm done. And I always joke, if Dr. Hexologist, he stops giving prostate exams to the community, he goes and gives it to the XRP community. That would be, that's actually what we've seen in crypto, right? So also, even in Bitcoin, they always have like this grandiose confidence. They go, you know, once you get in, you never leave. That's how it started. But now it's actually on crypto Twitter. And even in crypto Twitter, people who are in multiple coins, multiple chains, they always say the same thing. They go, you've got to, it's kind of funny. It's like every single of these Hunger Games, Squid Games. They're like, you have a dream that you get really rich and you'll leave. Look at everyone around here. They never left. It's kind of like funny, like this weird, like, you know, like imagine like this old witch doctor in the corner telling you, you'll never leave this. But it's kind of funny. They have like a myopic view, but it's because we have so much value here. Because what's happening is like real and it's new. No one's ever seen anything like it. So yeah, I'm very, very optimistic for the future, fans. Hope you've been all enjoying it.
I was going to say, like, to your point about this network, the network effect is so powerful early on when there's nobody involved. Because when you take one person and you add another one, you just doubled the user base, and 2 to 4 and 4 to 8 and so on and so forth. And I actually had this vision one time driving home from the first Vegas meetup ever that Maddie put on. And I was with my two buddies, and I was thinking about how crypto and this goes back to the example that you made, Sami, about when the guy showed the $1 billion balance to his parents and how it psychologically affected them. You know, when you're in this world, we are all stuck on the hamster wheel. And when you start to hit escape velocity financially, it literally alters your physiology and your psychology in a way that hard to explain. But I saw Hexicans go through this firsthand in the first cycle when they experienced that exponential curve up in price. Everyone remembers Gerardo's rainbow chart. That was where the beginning hyper growth wave of the first big wave happened for Hex, and it happened for this community. And people are still to this day latching onto that dream that was the seed that was planted in the beginning when Godwill sent the candle up and started that secondary wave, right? And what, you know, so my point here is that if you can make it through this and you can see like the people that are left here, it's like nuclear war popping off all over the place, and all that's left is like there's ash falling from the sky and dust settling on the ground. And I look to my left and I see SJ. I look to my right, I see Sami, and there's us on the panel. It's like, okay, we're the last man standing. Like we're the survivors that made it to the end of the war of attrition. And then we just get that double up in user base. It starts the exponential curve, and that is where things really change and start to evolve. And that's life, guys. And we're at the beginning of a large shift in what it means to have sound money on the blockchain. And this is a financial revolution, whether you understand that or not. And kudos to you guys that just gets rich and walks. But a lot of us are here for completely other reasons. And you know, this Richard guy, I mean, I think his intentions are really pure. And so him and this community, like we're all aligned in that we all share time like on this earth together. And there's a much bigger plan at play that almost none of us can see. And so I'm just very excited to be a part of this movement. And I'm very grateful how many talented people are here spreading the good message. So thank you guys. And it's going to be a wild ride, and we are going to go to levels that you can't even dream. Like I'll probably see Sami on a Mars base one day using teleportation technology and ushering in lifespans beyond 200 and 300 years and bringing in new energy technologies that you can't even dream of. And it's all going to have built on the resources that we accumulated here at the bottom in Hex. Like the dream is that big.
Preach. Keep going.
Yeah, the dream is that big.
On Axis's message, we spoke about the user base stuff. Just, I want to say, everyone listening at home, I know there's sometimes a lot of numbers to compute. I know, but these are really important just to show you how small we are. So Pulse Chain, we have about 250,000 users, which is tiny, because in January 2021, a dog coin called Shiba Inu had only 1,000. And then in 12 months, by the end of 2021, Shiba Inu went from 1,000 holders to 1.3 million. Okay, so it did 1,000x, and then it was a million x in the price growth. Okay, so Shiba Inu still to today is about 1.3 million. Doge is like over 5 million. Cardano, okay, similar spiritually to Pulse Chain, they have about, in the 2021 peak, they had like 100,000 daily active users. Okay, they are all well within reach. Remember, Pulse Chain and Hex and Pulse X we had 250,000 holders. We've got about 10,000 daily users. So, man, I know it's kind of funny, friends. It's funny. There's this recent like a sparring with Charles and stuff. It's the irony. I just couldn't believe it. I thought Charles was joking when he's like, "You're in a cult, dude." I'm like, dude, you understand? Like, Bankless, every single Ethereum community has been black sheeping them for all these years. But now this is what's happened. They are now part of the furniture because now they're in their third cycle. They're like, oh, we're not a cult now. We're part of the furniture. You guys are the cult. It's kind of funny, but no, that's where the opportunity is, man. They're buying the cult that they call a cult, which, friends, remember, it's not satanic Pentagon cult. It's just, it's culture. That's what the funny part is. So the irony in all these is lost, but the growth rate, everything is there. Why? Look, think about Richard, how fast he onboarded people in 2020 and 2021. You're telling me he can't at least continue some sort of growth rate like that with people just holding a meme coin out there that haven't done anything in a while, or they're in a chain that maybe isn't innovative, that they think were innovative. Where's your conferences, man? I don't see your conferences out here. It is easy. But what we've just shown is there's these timed patterns where, look, man, I feel it. I'm like, man, how come we are slaves to this cycle? Why? And then I'll use all these analogies. It's this night and day sleep stuff. It's like, yeah, try call up your friends at 2:30 in the morning to go for a sandwich. They're just like, man, I'm tired. Okay, that's what we are right now. So all of the engines we've been trying to crank on for the past few years, none of them will make any sense until this year. This year it starts to make sense. People come in, they're looking for a home. And by the way, it's not a coincidence that when you have a good communicator at the top, it's easy to share with everyone, because they're like, oh, I don't want to listen to 15 people. I want to listen to like one guy who's got a lot of answers. That's why when Richard's all his streams, all his clips, okay, it's just literally ammunition ready to go. And that's why, but you need the community there, which is exactly what we're doing right now. So remember, friends, all those numbers I shared with you, they are all well within reach. Okay, yeah, there's product market fits. It's kind of fun, man. Like it's funny, man. When Hex first started, it's like the coin doesn't do anything. What does it do? That's what everyone says. And now it's like, hey, you're launching a coin, it better not do anything. Now they're actually saying, I don't want any utility in this. You understand? It's just a picture of whatever it is, a lizard or a frog or a cat. Okay, no, now they make the cat blue. Okay, it's funny how these things in people's minds have changed. But, okay, what we've actually found is what's consistent is the people in this coin network community. That's what's actually most consistent. It's convincing people we're actually having fun here. That's actually what it is, friends. It's kind of like when you go to a country, okay, when you look at them, you don't think about like these 15,000 details about their families and like all these little nitty-pickies. You're like, hey, do they look happy or not? Yeah, they look pretty happy. That's all you remember. That's literally all you remember. So in crypto, when people are going and peeking around, okay, now the prices, they change things a lot, the price chart. But when you see people in this, and we don't just look at the happiness, we look at the energy. Are they making a lot of noise, okay? Because in crypto, right, everyone feels happy and sad together. So you can't really tell. Some people might be really, really happy over just like a picture of a JPEG. You can't really tell. But if there's a lot of noise, that's exactly what we're doing right now. You look at this panel, all these people coming in here. It has to translate to something. This ball of energy does not just dissipate, friends. It doesn't dissipate. I mean, like every single time this has happened before, something big occurs. Something big, okay? Because no one's going anywhere. Like, where are they going? Every single test has been thrown out, okay? The founder FUD again, okay? Thousands of things, like different narratives, different technology. Oh, it's AI now. It's a bunch of hocus pocus, man. Like the whole reason why crypto was invented, and everyone tells Richard this, it's literally the most inefficient database in the world. It's just a book club entry for people, okay? So people trying to slap on this like amazing new tech stuff, one of them's got to figure it out. 999 people aren't, okay? So you're just left with the people. You're just left with people who can do all they know how to do, friends, is build friendships and make connections. That's it, So crypto started with everyone coming in for the tech, making tech. Yes, you're the first settlers of a city. You can build sheds, you can build bridges, you can build roads. Okay, now that we've done all that and we can kind of streamline that, that's like when you have the layer 1 chain, the DEX, when you have privacy solutions, when you have the basic stuff done, right? What's left next? You just have a bunch of people. But now what we found is, what do the people do, okay? The people build friendships. They make connections more. That's actually what's growing everything. What has Bitcoin added in 5-10 years? Nothing. It's added some little underscore OP cat that lets Eric Wall make some JPEGs of cats. That's it. Where's the AI in there? It doesn't need that. It doesn't need that. But it's got people in it who are basically taking charge, saying, this is the way, the truth, the life. That's literally all it was. Once people start to see it, and in fact, I almost bet in the next bear market, there'll be a community that bursts up. They're using Hex as their like prototype. Okay, here's the blueprint. What do we need to do to get out of the bear market? I bet they'll be using Hex. They'll be using Hex and Pulse Chain community. And they'll say, oh, they had conferences. Okay, Matty Allen had a cowboy hat. Let's get a pirate. There's a doctor on here. Okay, there's constant streams out here. Trust me, it doesn't make sense now, friends, but that's the game, right? No one studied Bitcoin when it was like $2. Okay, when they started studying it, $1,000. By the way, do they still study Bitcoin at the start? No, they don't. Okay, they don't do that. everybody is going after the Ethereum route. Okay, only Richard, funny enough, was the only guy who tried to emulate the magic of Bitcoin at the start. The only guy, because everyone else says, oh, Bitcoin does nothing. Let's go make a hammer or a bigger hammer or a shinier hammer. And what we found is that is not enough to keep people believing. So imagine you're in a country, imagine like you're in America, and then let's say Canada, say, guess what? America, your tax rate's at 20%. We're going to make ours 15%. Okay. Oh, you get this type of social welfare, $500 a week. Okay, we're going to make it $600 a week. And imagine they went back to their boardrooms and go, oh, sweet. Everyone in America should now migrate to Canada now. We've given a better tax rate. We give them more money. Do you think it would work out? No. Because everybody in America, they're like, but the flag means something to me. But like, my family's here. It represents the land of opportunity. What about a constitution? You see all these things that have nothing to do with money. It's because you've just been there and network effects. That is what we're all trying to establish right here. That's why everyone in crypto, everyone focuses on this super, super tech stuff because it's like, it's easy to get retail attention out here, but they don't last. Okay. But everyone here, man, like there's 15 years staking. Hello. You know what I mean? So we're a different breed. And remember, no one's trying to copy Hex right now. In fact, they see Hex as like the kryptonite to stuff. They're like, oh, I'm going to avoid it. But one day they will. One day they will. But when will they do it? When will they do it? Because the price went up. That's it. So that's what I'm telling you. All we need is the price goes up and then they start copying. Yes, that's it. Because they know, they think, they literally think we're mentally deranged. I get messages to this day. Hey, you still in that scam thing? Every single day. I'm like, bro, do you watch any video? There's 250,000 people plus. It used to be 5,000. That's how Hex started, friends. 5,000 people. Now it's 250,000 people. So I'm like, I'm looking at this growth rate. I'm like, wait a minute. Is that line sloping up or sloping down? I can't figure it out. Okay, it's sloping up. Well, why don't they see it? That's it. You understand humans and psychology, right? They think, okay, well, it's sucked in the past 12 months. It's going to keep sucking. That's literally, welcome to market cycles, friends.
They don't see it because we're on page 300.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really bullshit, you know. And it's funny because Hex really scratches that itch. That's both, you know, in the early days of Bitcoin, it was about, you know, peer-to-peer cash, and Hex kind of scratches that itch, but is also a store of value at the same time. So it's kind of like a miracle coin in a lot of ways, and you know, it gets missed by a lot of people. Like, and I think part of the lack of clarity on some of this, why utility doesn't reign supreme, is because of like the stifling aspects of regulators and like the legal part of this whole thing. And, you know, fingers crossed, like we're going to get through this and actually we'll see a switch back the other way. Not that meme coins are going away, but just that a lot of that economic energy has to get stored somewhere. And so maybe some of the meme cults are strong enough, or they start building utility on top, but eventually this will turn into a utility type era that will come. And maybe that's all that it's been, really, is like the regulation that's really caused that hang up, like Tornado Cash and MakerDAO founder gets killed. And like, I mean, it's been a treacherous 5 years. And so DeFi, it's scary. You know, you want to go try to make a stable coin, you risk getting shot. Like that's a scary place to be. So, cause you're going up against the big dogs, man. And, you know, we see this over and over with Trump, with Elon, with Richard Hart, with, you know, Justin Sun is a little bit edgy. The BitMEX founder in the early days. I mean, you could CZ in jail. Like, come on, like there's just dozens of these examples of people trying to change the status quo and how dangerous that is. And so once the danger has subsided a bit, I think you're going to see a rush to utility. And guess what? We're the oldest, one of the very first DeFi products that even was worth a damn, that popularized Uniswap and got its own layer one. So how amazing is that? And we started with the community. So it's just exciting, man.
Yeah, wonderful notes as well, friends. A lot of this serious stuff, just to like everyone know, like CZ, the corrupt SEC, okay, you know CZ, they had Binance US dollar. They had $18 billion there. It was a profitable business, making $1 billion a year. They went and forced it to shut down. They were doing nothing. They literally just copied Tether's playbook. Why were they forced to shut down? Because they couldn't control them. That was it, you know? So like these big guys, they get targeted. And sometimes because we come in and we think, oh, it's happening to everyone else. So it never happened to us. But the bigger the idea you have, the more aggressive they will try to come. Silk Road raids, Mt. Gox goes down, all these other things. So it's almost like, yes, you want to reach utopia, You have to go through tough battles, which is exactly what we're going through right now. But are they really tough when you have a conference, honestly? Is it really that tough? Price sucks, yes, but you're like, oh, look at all these people still showing up. You know what I mean? Like, there you go. There's literally your food, your ammo. So you can't see that in a chart. Little RSI indicator or people out here laughing, they can't see that in a chart, but you can. Okay, but how's this going to resolve itself? Wait another 12 to 24 months. Maybe it does resolve itself to the upside. And then you point back to something like this. You listen to Access, you listen to Corey, listen to everyone out here. And then you go, oh, I don't know. I just held. Everybody said they were cool with it. It's literally that simple. And you know what, friends, as well? Crypto's only got 500 million people in the world now in it. This is kind of funny. Only 500 million. There's like 7 billion people. Like, we don't even really need to worry about what do we do with all these people until we get to like 4 or 5 billion. If you 10x the user base of crypto, you go from 3 trillion price growth up to 300 trillion. Like, I don't want to say the numbers, but you're up hundreds of X's in everything. Hundreds of X's. Now the whole world is finally onboarded into the whole industry. Okay, so I'm just showing you, like, we're not the earliest. Okay, you're not Andreas Antonopoulos giving a presentation to that guy with the Jesus hair. You're not that early, but also you are so early where people will read a news event and they're like, oh, this looks bad. This guy's in a Louis Vuitton tracksuit. I'm going to ignore every other piece of information he released after that. He's a dude twerking on stage. I'm going to click sell. You're that early, you know? So, like, you know, Apple stock, when Steve Jobs passed away, it had like the tiniest little blip and then it rallied because it was priced in. Okay. In crypto, we're not gifted with this type of like rationality. We don't have these billion-dollar funds who are like, wait a minute, let's research more. You don't have that, but that's opportunity. That is opportunity, friends. It gives you the prices so cheap. And also, because these people don't know how to react, when you see us defeating the SEC, when you see Donald Trump, Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, and all these news, just like people don't know how to value things properly on the downside, they won't know how to value it properly on the upside. But hey, hopefully you take some profit so you can come defend our bags in the next bear market, because you're going to have a larger crowd of people saying the same thing all over again.
Yep.
And holding Hex during the bear market's actually pretty nice because of the functionality of the T-share, right? And how payouts do work. Like FUD isn't as depressing holding this token, assuming you're staked, right? If you're
Hard Pro, you mined Bitcoin, right, back in the day?
I did.
Yeah, I love that example of Hex is just a Bitcoin miner that doesn't get old. Like, it doesn't lose efficiency. It actually gets more efficient. Your T-shares.
Yeah,
like,
it does.
It resonates with people because they have a hard time.
Proof of work gets less efficient. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
Well, it's just like you're with proof of work, you're always competing against the hash rate. But in Hex, the T-share rate's working in your favor. So like, but I think it's just it's an easier discussion point. So like when it comes to like talking to people that don't really know or wanna, or you lose them after the word T-share. You say the word T-share and you lose somebody right away. This is what Sami's so good at, is he just like cuts right to the chase and talks. And Corey's so good at, and Gary's so good at talking to people on his level in his realm. It's like you have to be able to talk to people at their level with the language that they're good for. And Bitcoin miners at this point are pretty easy for people to understand. It's like, imagine getting a Bitcoin miner that never gets old, and you're just capturing as many of them now to hold forever. And it's like, because one day, like in the Bitcoin world, those Bitcoin miners, like they expire, but in Hex, your Hex doesn't expire. It can always produce more Hex. It's amazing. Anyway, sorry to
right.
Yeah.
No, that is what it is. It's kind of like each T-share is a miniature miner, and it mines more Hex, and it's amazing. And now we have them on both chains, right? So not only do we have them on Ethereum, but we have them on Pulse chain, which it's cheaper to transact. So not only is it it progressively gets easier technically if you look at how they work. With the fork of Pulse chain, that transaction itself has gotten cheaper as well. So it's just, even if the price itself goes down on the token, it's awesome when you have the ability to see what's going on behind the scenes. And against also with the liquidity being a little bit lower and whatnot, and it has
can we just quickly say something about the Hex T-shares, friends? So conceptually, you're watching at home, you know, T-shares is just the Hex yield, right? You know, okay, Hex, you can stake it. But conceptually, you got to just understand this, okay? Bitcoin, it's like it got too competitive and too popular. Now, the Bitcoin miners, a lot of them, they're different to like what you would see as a Bitcoin maxi, okay? They're different entities, yeah? It's inaccessible. So if you want to come into Bitcoin, you can't do any mining. But because Hex, okay, was built on Ethereum, smart contract, okay, because it's like what they say, encapsulated or whatever, the smarty contracty thingamajig, because you can actually stake it yourself, you're now the same entity, okay? So this is like a little advantage. Philosophically, you can think in the back of your mind. Because now the person who buys it and stakes it, it's the same. The person earning the yield, it's also the people you're like looking at right now. It's the same people, okay? You don't see Bitcoin miners coming out. They don't have the biggest Twitter accounts. Hey, we love Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to $1 million. Yeah. They're two different types of people. Now, I'm sure there are out there, but you get to see how there's big rift out here. But with Hex, it's the same people, you know? So this is an element you almost think about. That's your advantage as well. So as this thing goes up, it's the same people, you know, because it's mind share of a community, you know? So the Hex yield handout, you're handing out inflation to people in a community, and they're still incentivized to hang around. It never gets too hard to mine, if you know what I mean. Okay, so these people who were doing it for a long time, they're probably going to continue to do it. So this is just something, this is like when you're looking out forward into the future and you have a community out here, because remember what you're trying to do is there's no cash flow in crypto. That's the difficult part. So there's no cash flow. So you have to like look at, okay, there's a group of people here. I have to try assess, purely guessing, how they behave in the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, which I know is really hard. But if you get it right once, you change your life forever. Okay, that's what you're looking at right now. You see a conference, you see, oh, Hexstake, what do? I just go to a website. You know what I mean? Like 2 seconds, man. Literally 2 seconds. Like, what do you do with a Bitcoin miner? I got no idea. I don't know where. I got a website. I've heard that like the factory mines it for 6 weeks before they mine Bitcoin first. Like, you see what I mean? Like, it doesn't let you do anything or participate out here, right? So you start stacking these out here, and you start to see, you know what? I'll be honest, like Hex and Bitcoin's 2 trillion market cap. Can Hex be 5% of that non-origin address? Can it be? That's 100 billion market cap. Can it be 5%? It's like an 80 to 100x from now. Just think about this. So yeah, once you start to compare these together, okay, here's the thing. Of course, you're trying to aim for glory. That's why the funniest thing, maybe literally I laughed out of my chair. So everyone was like bagging out Hex, making fun of it. And then Richard comes out and he starts quoting gold's market cap and like, we're going to flip it. And I laugh so much. I go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to start doing that. I'll start doing that too. But like, that's, we're just networks. Okay. So like your life doesn't change per se when you hold something else out here. Okay. So, but you're trying to predict, okay, where is the value in a community where you see there's something more than just that money part? Where is it? You know, you're looking at it right now. People, they like the inflation. They like the T-shares. They like that the T-shares get scarce over time. See that? They like that over time. Yeah, this is something different to add, I guess, to your basket when you're looking at something like that's so cheap and down on the floor. You know, friends, the biggest, most successful investors, when things are down, they look for a reason to get long. That's what they're doing right now. Not financial advice. I'm just telling you, they're looking for any reason. Like, we've given you thousands of reasons. You're looking at a group of people who said, we are literally not going away from here. And it was way worse here 2 years ago, a year ago as well. You know what I mean? So you're looking at all of these out here. So I hope people, you start to stack all of these together and it starts to make sense. But you already know. You're like, hey, give me the price up. It'll all make sense. You know that. That's literally the last missing piece. Also, friends, yeah, I think a few of us have to wrap it up. So I appreciate every single one of you. I just saw in the chats as well. So God bless you. Yeah, we can know.
I think shout out while you're on camera. Shout out while you're on camera is really great that you do these streams sometimes. That's awesome. It was proving that you weren't AI back in the day, and you're some of the highest value content for sure on the internet. So appreciate you joining.
Although I don't believe it until you come on my show, Sami. When you come on my show, we can both put on our glasses and we can mog the audience together. That's when I'll believe that you're not AI.
There you go. There you go.
I went on a scavenger hunt to your country. I just didn't know what city you were in, looking for you. So maybe in the future.
There's a tradition that we have at the end of these things where everybody points up and to the right, but you might like have to give it a couple of tries to figure out like which way to point.
That way, I guess, to the logo.
All right.
We get that screenshot.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for participating. Let's go around the room real quick because I know everybody who's on here has a different method of onboarding people and maybe like a different medium where you do so. So let's run around the room real quick and just have everybody say like, where's the best place to find your content? Whitney.
Hey, I'm Whitney. I mostly play on Instagram, whitney.magic.crypto. My website is Queen of Millions, and I have a community where I teach women about crypto.
Love it. Corey?
Yeah, over Corey Geary, the DeFi Crypto Alliance show. Our show is all about how we're using cryptocurrency as a wealth creation tool, and we use real estate and other real world assets as a wealth preservation tool. So come check us out. We got a definitely different perspective on how we onboard and on what the mission we're on. So
awesome. Axis?
Check me out at x.com/axisalive for all the hot takes, spicy takes. And then axisalive.com if you want to take your journey a little bit deeper and learn some of the cutting edge meta game that we're cutting out using V3 and some other cool liquidity tricks. And it's a deep well, and there's a lot of stuff going under the hood on Pulse Chain. So lot to learn. So anyways, I appreciate Maddie for hosting these things every year. And you're a gem, and keep getting out there and lead this political charge forward. All right. Thanks.
Thanks. Sami?
If you don't know where to find me and you're in Hex, all right, you're drinking a lot of soy right now. Your friend saw me on YouTube. Your friend saw me on Twitter. God bless his friends.
Awesome. Gary?
Miss pretty much only on Twitter as far as like social media engagement. So you can DM me if I know you already, or send a tweet or something. And I usually go to the bigger events. I like to go to events outside of this ecosystem just to engage things like Token 49. I'm going to go to Dubai at the end of March. I am going to the inauguration. I got invited by a hexagon that has connection to Congress. So I'll be at the presidential election in DC, our inauguration. And things like that. I like the bigger scale events where there's new audience and kind of one-on-one conversations are possible in real life. So anybody that's not going to go to something like that, but know someone that is, refer me, and I'll try to engage.
Awesome. Hod Pro?
I'm a Hod Pro mostly on Twitter. I'm on Telegram too, but don't get scammed. You mostly just find me on Twitter. And yeah, Hex rocks. And spread the word.
Yeah. Rachel?
I'm Rachel Lobb on everything, and I have a website where I onboard newbies into crypto, and it's cryptobestie.io. So I want to be your crypto bestie.
Yeah. A Wild SJ.
Hello, I am A Wild SJ on all the social medias, and you can find me on the internet there, and in the real world on the Pulse Chain Tour, March 6th through the 9th in Las Vegas. Let's go.
Awesome. I'll be there at that event, cheering you guys on for hosting it. And
we're sponsoring.
I love it. Yeah. Thanks to the sponsors of this, fiat.io, texitcoin.org, actuator.finance. Thanks to all the speakers, everybody watching, liking, subscribing, sharing. And this has been an incredible conference. The 5th annual Hex Conference has now come to a close. Thank you all for being on. And until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out. See you guys.
Insane staking on ETH and Post. We on 2 chains. Other coins didn't fit. What was I supposed to do? Not stake and stay broke with you? Bar Hex for 4 years, trying to DCA. Got post-chain, post-sex, trying to DCA. Now the world gon' see, Rich already changed the game, which is why the hell you see me DCA in the post-chain. Bar Hex for 4 years, trying to DCA. Got post-chain, post-sex, trying to DCA. Now the world gon' see, things will never be the same ever since we launched our own thing on our own chain. Bar Hex for 4 years, trying to DCA. Got post-chain, post-sex, trying to DCA. Now the world gon' see, Rich already changed the game, which is why the hell you see me DCA in the post-chain. Bar Hex for 4 years, trying to DCA. Got post-chain, post-sex, trying to DCA. Now the world gon' see, things will never be the same ever since we launched our own thing on our own chain. You other Sammy Chicas need to get your crypto coffee to wake up and out of ditches so you go from rags to riches.
Also, a huge thank you to Rachel, who helped me run the backstage. I'm not going to put her on the spot here, but yeah, big thank you to you. All right, peace.